7.5 million vehicles on the road, Taiwan sits just outside the top 50 nations in vehicles per capita. And since 1959, the tires on many of those cars, and cars all over the world, have been made right here in Taiwan. Tires that not only keep cars rolling along, but help them get safely from point A to point B. The path toward burning rubber starts here, at the company's over 170,000 square meter plant in northern Taiwan, where all the chemically complex ingredients start to come together.
那至于这个省油胎，它开发的 key point， 第一个的话，轮胎本身要轻量化；第二个的话，轮胎的变形要少。那么轮胎变形要少，在配方里面我们要大量使用 SSBR， 大量使用西里卡。这个 SSBR 是特殊的人造胶，西里卡就是我们讲的白烟。
First off, the rubber compound has to be formulated. There are two main ingredients, the rubber itself and a filler, most commonly carbon black or silica. The way these two ingredients and the others thrown into the mix are combined depends on the driving conditions the tires will eventually be subjected to. Once the formula comes together, it's time to mix things up.
现在来到我们这一站呢，就是我们轮胎要用的胶料的混合，包括天然胶、人造胶，还有我们刚才看到的药包，再加上轮胎在补强用的碳黑，加上软化油，再加上我们环保胎一定要用到的白烟，在这个机器里面把它混合到均匀，就是我们后段轮胎要使用的橡胶材料。
Next, the bags of mixed material are headed into the stove for some more mixing. After mixing is complete, the batch is formed into a continuous sheet known as the slab.
一条轮胎外表看起来是黑黑的一条，其实里面呢有各个部品，包括连纱、钢丝、胎牙，这个都是这个材料准备工程。
The rough slab is then destined for another part of the factory, where it will be tailored for a number of different purposes. It is calendared, cooled, and then dispersed into piles on the factory floor. Each pile represents roughly 300 future tires in all. Tires aren't all about rubber though. It's the bead, a rubber-coated steel wire loop that anchors the tire to the wheel assembly. The bead is wound around in several continuous loops on the edge of the tire that sits on the wheel. Then there's the bead filler, a hard rubber compound that forms a wedge between the tire and the wheel. Once the circumference of the bead is checked to make sure it's not too big or too small, the building process can begin.
那这是我们的一次成型，那它现在要开始要放胎牙了。这胎牙固定好来，再来的话，它要贴内衬层。
Of course, you can't have a tire without air, and you can't have air without the inner liner. The inner liner is what helps maintain air pressure, and just like the slab, it gets run through a calender, then cut, and finally rolled to await the building process.
再来的话，它要贴我们的内衬层，然后经过电脑设定一个固定的长度，它把它裁断、结合，再来要贴上连子布层。
Tires have to bear heavy loads, so fabric cords are needed to reinforce the rubber compound. Pre-treated spools of yarn are twisted into a cord that will bond easily with the rubber. The fabric cords have holes cut in them for increased ventilation. Then they are calendared in. The rolls then move on to get their protective cover.
再来要贴上连子布层，然后一样设定好固定的长度，切断，然后把它贴合。这是第二层的连子布层，把它裁断贴合。再来，它就要把胎牙打到固定的位置，然后把它反包起来。 把里面有一些残存的空气把它赶出来。压滚完了以后，现在要贴上胎边胶。
Next up is sidewall extrusion. Uncured rubber is fed through a computer-controlled extruder barrel where it's heated, blended, and pressurized. Then the compound is bound for the extruder head, where it's shaped under high pressure.
压滚完了以后，现在要贴上胎边胶，一样在固定的长度自动把它裁切完，然后把它接起来。那同样的，把里面残存的一些空气把它赶出来。好了，那这是我们一次胎体已经完成了。
Next on Taiwan Made, the tires get a dose of toughness from an unexpected source. These Taiwan-made tires are shaping up quickly. Most of the components have already been manufactured and installed, but they're still awaiting an unexpected element that will give them the superior toughness every tire needs. Steel belts are what give a tire true durability. Getting the steel into the tire, however, is no simple matter. To achieve this, up to 160 spools of steel cord are unwound at once. The cords are then pressed through heated rollers, and as this is done, a rubber compound is pressed over all sides of the cords.
现在来到我们的二次成型，首先呢，它贴上第一层的钢丝。那钢丝贴的话，也是按照我们位置去贴，然后到固定的长度，把它切断，然后贴合，再来贴上我们第二层的钢丝，一样在固定的位置。然后到我们固定的长度，把它切断。那在贴的中间这个位置要非常的正确。
The next step, tread extrusion. In this process, 3 different kinds of rubber are combined in different ratios, depending on the type of tire being made. With today's tires expected to last over 100,000 kilometers, the tread has to be in for the long haul. Because there are 3 different rubber compounds used in the tread profile, each part is extruded in a different extruder machine. Then the components come together in the same extruder head. Once all is said and done with extrusion, the tread is shaped on a die plate before moving on to a cooling line.
然后再来是贴上我们的胎面胶。那刚才我们完成那道工序，跟我们一次的胎体去做结合。那现在它后面再用滚压的，把里面的残存空气把它赶出来，也增加它的粘性。如果一个轮胎里面有空气的话，那是一个很危险的事情，所以我们一定所有的生态里面一定要把空气都全部排除。
Finally, the tires are ready for one of the last steps, curing.
到最后到达所谓的硫化工程。硫化工程就是我们把它放在模型里面，利用硫化机硫化以后，把它变成是有花纹的成品胎，也有具备弹性，也有耐磨耗的功能。
Once the mold is closed, the tire is subjected to high temperature and pressure. A rubber compound flows into the mold to shape the tire and form the details of the tread and sidewall. After curing, it's on to the fine details. Grooves are cut into the tread. This will allow water to be expelled from beneath the tire and prevent hydroplaning. Before the tires hit the road, there are a few tests to run. It must be proven that they're both perfectly round, balanced, and the proper width. Though these tires might seem like they came together in a hurry, it's actually a very time-consuming process.
原材料从第一天开始到混合，然后到裁准，到成型，到硫化，大约差不多5天到7天左右。
Now it's time to put the pedal to the metal. Even when turning on a dime, these tires won't slip. And when a driver has to slam on the brakes, they maintain a steady grip on the road. In the end, these Taiwan-made tires are the perfect combination of safety and performance.